The lobby of a towering glass building was filled with the quiet hum of conversations, the clacking of heels on marble, and the polished confidence of professionals waiting for their turn. Suddenly, the room shifted. Whispers rippled through the space as a small figure appeared, no more than 10 years old, with pigtails slightly loose and a backpack hanging off her shoulder. She looked out of place among the suits and briefcases, but her eyes held a determination far beyond her years. Slowly, she pushed the heavy door of the interview room open. Inside, the millionaire CEO, a man accustomed to sharp resumes and polished presentations, glanced up in surprise, his brows furrowed at the sight of the child. For a moment silence hung in the air, everyone too stunned to speak. The little girl's hands trembled as she stepped forward, gripping the straps of her bag like it was her shield. She cleared her throat, her voice soft but steady enough to be heard. "My mom is sick, so I came instead." The room froze. The CEO leaned back, unsure if he'd misheard her, but the sincerity in her eyes told him otherwise. She stood there, fragile yet brave, with the weight of her mother's struggle pushing her forward. The confidence of every other candidate waiting outside suddenly seemed small compared to this child's simple, heartbreaking courage. In that instant, the grandeur of the office, the titles, and the wealth surrounding them all faded. What remained was a reminder that sometimes the most powerful statements come from the smallest voices. And in that moment, everyone in the room understood. They weren't just interviewing for a job. They were witnessing an act of love. The CEO leaned forward, his expensive watch glinting under the light, but his eyes softened as he studied the little girl standing before him. His voice, usually sharp and commanding, carried a note of gentleness as he asked, "Why are you here, sweetheart?" The girl's small fingers twisted nervously around the straps of her backpack. Her lips trembled before the words finally spilled out. "My mom was supposed to come today," she whispered, her voice breaking. "She's so smart, and she works really hard, but this morning she couldn't even get out of bed. She's too sick to walk." The room grew still, every executive and assistant holding their breath as the child's honesty filled the silence. She took a shaky breath and continued, tears shining in her wide eyes. "We don't have enough money for her medicine. She told me this job could change everything for us. So, I thought maybe if I came instead, I could help her." She looked around at the long table, her small frame dwarfed by the leather chairs and polished wood, yet she sat down with a quiet bravery that made her seem larger than life. The CEO felt a lump in his throat, something rare for a man known for his iron composure. He glanced at his board members, who avoided his gaze, clearly just as moved. The little girl straightened her shoulders, blinking away tears, as if willing herself to be strong for her mother's sake. "Please," she whispered, "just give her a chance. She deserves it more than anyone." In that moment, it was no longer a child speaking to a businessman. It was a daughter fighting for her mother, her words carrying more weight than any resume ever could. The boardroom, usually alive with clicking pens, shuffling papers, and sharp debates, fell into an unusual stillness. Every eye was fixed on the little girl, sitting so bravely at the long, gleaming table. The CEO, a man who had faced countless negotiations and commanded rooms with his presence, suddenly found himself struggling to steady his voice. Something in her trembling yet determined tone had reached him deeply, pulling at memories he thought he had long buried. He leaned forward, clasping his hands together, and gently asked, "Tell me more about your mom." The girl's face lit up despite the tears still glistening on her cheeks. Her voice grew steadier, her pride shining through every word. "She's amazing," she said with a small smile. "She teaches me math every night, even when she's so tired she can barely keep her eyes open. She makes me laugh when I feel sad, and even when she's sick, she always tells me, never give up, no matter how hard things get." Her words floated across the room like a quiet melody, disarming even the toughest executives at the table. Several lowered their eyes, hiding the emotions stirring inside them. For a brief moment, the polished corporate walls didn't feel like a place of business. It felt like a space where humanity had broken through. The CEO swallowed hard, his chest tightening as he saw his younger self reflected in her bravery. He remembered nights when he had been hungry, when his own mother had whispered encouragements despite her struggles. It was as though this little girl had unknowingly spoken directly to his heart. The silence in the room wasn't awkward anymore, it was reverent. Every person there knew they were witnessing something extraordinary, the pure, unshakable love of a child. The CEO slowly rose from his chair, the leather creaking in the silence. Every board member watched in stunned anticipation as he walked toward the little girl, his polished shoes clicking softly against the floor. Instead of towering over her as most adults did, he stopped and lowered himself onto one knee, meeting her wide, tear-filled eyes at her level. His usually firm and commanding presence softened, replaced by something far more human. With a voice thick with emotion, he said gently, "Your mom already got the job." The girl's lips parted in disbelief. For a second, she just stared at him, unsure if she had heard correctly. Her small hands gripped the edge of her backpack as if anchoring herself to reality. Really?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "You'll help my mom." The CEO's smile grew warm, a kind of smile that carried both compassion and certainty. "Yes," he replied. "And not only will we give her this position, but we'll also make sure she has the medical support she needs. Your mom deserves to be cared for, and you deserve to see her healthy again." Gasps and murmurs filled the room, but no one objected. Instead, several board members subtly wiped their eyes, moved by the weight of the moment. The girl let out a shaky breath, her face lighting up with hope so pure it seemed to brighten the entire boardroom. The CEO placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder and added softly, "Because today, you taught us all what true strength looks like. It isn't in money or power, it's in love, sacrifice, and courage like yours." In that instant, the walls of business and hierarchy melted away. What remained was the undeniable truth. A little girl's love had changed everything. The little girl ran as fast as her legs could carry her, her backpack bouncing with every step, her heart racing with excitement. Bursting through the door of their modest home, she cried out, her voice full of joy, "Mom, you got the job." Her mother, pale and weary on the worn sofa, looked up in surprise. Before she could even ask, her daughter threw herself into her arms, wrapping her in the tightest hug. Tears of relief streamed down the girl's face as she repeated, almost breathless, "You don't have to worry anymore. The CEO said you already got it. He's going to help you get better too." The mother's eyes welled with tears as she held her daughter close, her frail hands gently brushing the child's hair. A soft smile spread across her face despite her weakness. "Oh, my sweet girl," she whispered, her voice trembling, "you've given me the greatest gift of all, hope." The girl nestled into her mother's embrace, her small arms refusing to let go, as though love alone could keep her mother safe. In that moment, the tired walls of their home seemed to glow with a warmth that no wealth could ever buy. Outside, standing at a quiet distance, the CEO watched the scene unfold. The hardened man of business, who had seen success and power in every form, felt a lump rise in his throat. For the first time in years, he wasn't thinking about profits, deals, or competition. He was simply a man touched by the courage of a child and the unshakable bond between a mother and daughter. With a quiet breath, he murmured to himself, "Sometimes the smallest voices carry the biggest lessons." And in that moment, he knew his life had been changed too. In the end, what began as an ordinary job interview turned into a story that touched every soul who witnessed it. A little girl's innocent courage cut through the walls of business and pride, reminding everyone that true strength isn't found in power or wealth. It's found in love, sacrifice, and the willingness to fight for someone you care about. The CEO gained more than just an employee that day. He rediscovered his own humanity through the voice of a child. The mother gained more than a job, she gained hope and healing. And the little girl, who walked in carrying nothing but a backpack and her mother's dreams, walked out carrying a lesson that would echo far beyond that boardroom. Sometimes the smallest acts of bravery create the biggest changes.